Okay, in the wellness section of Prevention June 2021, we're going to try and get a good portion of this section done. If you all haven't seen, the reason I haven't been with you lately is because, yes, we got a new cat, which was gotten on May 26th was our first day with Garfield, which was the first day that he went to the vet and got vet checked approved for leukemia, everything you could think of. They gave him his first round of worming medicine. He goes back for his second round of worming medicine this coming Friday on, let me get the thing here, the 4th. That'll be 10 days. So he goes back for worming medicine then. Hopefully things go well and everything. We're hoping he gains some weight. He was only like 12 ounces on his very first visit, which was highly unusual, but for not very old, they said it was understandable. I'm trying to do this quickly. I'm on my lunch hour. I don't have much time anymore like I used to have, but some say that's a good thing. Wellness. How to feel better about everything. When life seems more stressful than joyful, these strategies should help you calm the chaos in your own mind. By Arricca, Elin, Sansone. Page 31. If the uncertainties of the past year and a half have left you on edge, look no further than your mind. The amygdala, the brain's emotional center, is activated with a few seconds to respond to threats, says Rashi Agal, MD, an associate professor of psychiatry at Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School. The prefrontal cortex, the logical thinking part of the brain, takes much longer to react. By then your heart is pounding, your blood pressure is rising, and your respiration increases in a fight or flight response. The surge of the cortisol and adrenaline was handy when we had to flee the hungry tigers, but when we are not life-threatening situations, and yet our brains repeatedly signal that we are, we run into trouble. This type of chronic illness stress can have physical and psychological effects, says Nuda Gould, PhD, director of the mindfulness program at Johns Hopkins University Medical School Medicine. It's not as simple as saying stress causes illness, but there's an association. Studies show that the long-term tension is linked with the increased inflammation, which plays a role in conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, heart disease, chronic pain, high blood pressure, depression. Fortunately, when things turn around, you seem to be unraveling. There are plenty of ways to manage the spinning thoughts in your mind. The tools are different for all of us at varying times in our lives, says Dr. Agarwal, but you can train your brain to react more constructively to stress. Besides the usual routine, eating nutritious foods, connecting with friends, eating enough sleep, building these skills will keep your mind and body in better balance. 1. Give your brain a break. Having emotions repeatedly ramped up is exhausting. When you're in overdrive, your brain is constantly seeking ways to stay safe. There's no respite, says Lona Marquis, the MD, Associate Professor of Psychiatry at Harvard Medical School and President of Anxiety and Depression Association of America. The more we have our emotional brain activated, the more anxiety we have. You have to give the brain time to shut off and recharge during the day. If the news is what's ramping you up, try limiting your exposure to the news sites, social media. This is not optional, says Marquis. You need to know enough to stay informed, but not so much that you're constantly fight or flight or freeze mode. We want to activate our thinking brain by unplugging. You don't have to eliminate media, but reduce your consumption of it. Check the news once or twice a day from one or two sources instead of doom scrolling repeatedly through every little outlet. Likewise, set boundaries for social media and shut off unnecessary push notifications. Getting out of your chair also helps your brain and hit the brakes no matter what is kicking your stress response into the physical activity, releases positive and chemicals that have anti-inflammatory and antidepressant effects. Just as a car battery recharges through your body's needs movement to get energized. When we feel tired and emotional, we don't want to do anything, but once you get moving, you feel better, says Marquis. Even a quick walk around the block or a few jumping jacks should help. Do one thing at a time. And number 2, most of us think that we're good at multitasking, but it often leaves us frazzled and distracted. Instead, make a point of connecting on a single task, which actually has calming effect. One way to increase satisfaction in general life is to practice focusing on the present moment, says Marquis. Consider how a toddler becomes totally absorbed in one thing in front of them and then can be perfectly content with it. After this practice, you'll see that you're staying in the moment and not letting yourself get sidetracked and are actually empowering. When walking outdoors, turn off electronics and observe what's lovely around you. If you have a pet, sit and cherish the cuddles without turning on the TV or chatting with family members. When cooking, turn off the background noise such as music or any news, and fully experience the sense of the textures of food that you're creating. Eat at the table, not at your desk or while you're on the phone, to get more pleasure from each bite. When you practice mindfulness, you recognize this moment is the only one that's real, and you can begin to find the beauty in it, says Gould. If you happen to plunge into a wave of anxiety, stop before you go on to the next activity and redirect your focus. Step outside, take 3 deep breaths to ground yourself in the moment, says Gould. Tune it into your senses, sight, sound, touch, and hearing. Small steps can have a major impact on settling the mind, even if there's 1-minute practice. There's no special training needed, and you can do this at any time, anywhere, to lower your heart rate and blood pressure. Reframe your thinking. Part of the handling tough times well is the way you approach them. We tend to push away negative experiences, but if we work through these difficulties, that's how we build resilience, says Gould. Try to come up with a more balanced way of looking at things. You may think this is never going to end, or I'm always going to feel this way, but everything comes to an end eventually. In the meantime, what can we do to find one small joy every day? Well, it's also helpful to stop rehashing the same worries, back to re-examine the big picture. Approach the situation with the attitude of what are the opportunities this gives me and my family, instead of focusing on what's been taken away, says C. Vale Wright, PhD, Senior Director of Healthcare Innovation for the American Psychological Association. While you're at it, remind yourself that you'll overcome so many other challenges, and you'll surmount this one too. Number 4, let yourself grieve. And that is where we will pick up next time that I come to you, because I've got it marked, page 34. See you next time. I don't know when that is. God bless.